Hello, my name is Nicholas Riley, and I'm going to be talking about working with diverse people. I'm going to talk about a couple of things today. First, we're going to discuss the importance of a diverse workforce. Then we're going to look at some key terms and ideas what companies can do to actually increase the diversity within their workforce. And then what individuals on an individual level within an organization can do to increase their contribution to the diversity of their organization. Then lastly, we're going to take a look at some key takeaways that we can go out and use in our everyday lives. So first, looking at the importance of diversity in the workplace. There's a study done by McKinsey & Company that took a look at many of the top performing companies in Germany, France, and the United Kingdom. And they looked at the amount of diversity on their executive boards, so it looked at the gender representation as well as the racial representation. And what they found is that the businesses that had a higher level of diversity on these high leadership positions actually ended up with increased profitability. These companies were making more money than their counterparts, largely in part due to the fact that they had increased diversity in those high leadership positions. Another study took a look at the increased creativity and creative thinking that diverse groups generate. Researchers at Tufts University used juries to study the effects of diversity on creative thinking. They built jury pools that were predominantly white, and they built jury pools that have that blended, diverse group of racial backgrounds. Had them review evidence in a mock trial and debate and reach a verdict. What they found is that the groups that had these diverse backgrounds actually found things within the cases that their all white counterparts did not. They came to different conclusions, spent more time deliberating, and found more creative solutions to the problems and creative ways to analyze the evidence and come to their conclusion. The studies also have been carried across in other industries as well, and they've found an increase in creativity amongst more diverse groups. There, they have also found that when you're working with a more diverse group of people, you end up with an increased preparedness amongst your company because they're expecting you to come across people who are different than themselves. People tend to be more prepared for presentations, for business proposals, for projects, for documents, because they know they're going to have to bring these to a different group of people. This was explored by a study published in Scientific American. They found that individuals were not only affected by racial and economic backgrounds and diversity, but also within political differences. They broke groups down versus Democrats and Republicans. They had them read a murder mystery novel and decide who had done it. And then they told them that they were going to have to convince someone that the opposite party or the same party that the suspects you found was the correct one. What they found is the people who were going up against the opposite party tended to do more preparation than those who were just going up against a similar party to themselves. This increased preparedness was due to the diversity in the groups because they knew they were going to have to be working with someone who had different ideas, who came from a different background than themselves. The last big key thing you see in workplaces with diversity is an increase in recognition. Scientific American published a study where they look at research papers and found that when the group of people who was working on that research paper came from a diverse group of diverse backgrounds, it led to that article or that research being more published, being more cited to, being more utilized, and being more recognized in the industry. While this study was limited to science in the scientific industry, this concept carries over to the business world and other areas where if you have more diverse groups of people making your presentation for your company, it can lead to a better recognition of the company as a whole. So with that, it's important to understand some key terms, and honestly the biggest one to understand here is the term diversity. So when we think of diversity, we usually think of people with different races than ourselves or people from different cultural backgrounds. But as we saw in some of the studies, we're not just looking at cultural and racial backgrounds. We're also looking at people who have different ideas than we do, like the study where we looked at Republicans versus Democrats. That's a form of diversity. So it's important to understand that diversity is more than just race and more than just culture. It includes things like socioeconomic backgrounds, political backgrounds, and any sort of factors which are going to give people a difference in their opinion and how they view things. So next, let's take a look at what companies can do in order to help improve diversity within themselves. An article out of Forbes by Mir Shamla looks at some of the ways companies can improve diversity within their organization. One thing that they can do is set clearer goals. Companies all pretend to do a good job of just saying that they want to be more diverse, but that doesn't go far enough. Companies really have to set a goal that integrates diversity into their business model, and what they're trying to accomplish. And that's what's important. Going beyond than just saying we're going to create a more diverse group of people and we're going to create a more diverse company. And instead, actually going further, saying here's how we're going to do it, Here's our goals, and here's what we're going to accomplish to get there. Another key importance is don't copy and paste. Businesses have a common desire to look at a company that has good diversity, that's doing diversity well, figure out what they're doing, and copy and paste it and try to do the exact same thing in their organization. But fundamentally, that doesn't work. Companies need to create something that is uniquely theirs, that fits their needs, their business goals, their model, and that's going to be a lot more successful when you create your own product instead of trying to copy and paste someone else's work. The next big key is implementation. If you have a great goal and you have a great plan for doing it, that only gets you so far. You really have to find a way to implement it and get it into your business on a daily basis. Having 1 week a year to set aside for diversity isn't enough. You really have to make it more than just that and work to encompass diversity into the everyday of your company. Then the last thing is to earning buy-in. Once you've got this implementation, your associates, your customers, the people in and around your organization have to believe it. They have to want to be a part of it. Because if they don't, they haven't bought into the diversity concept, they're not going to be successful, they're not going to care, and they're not going to keep moving from that. It's hard for a business to achieve workplace diversity because they're not hitting these goals, they're not doing these things, and they're not setting clear goals. They're copying and pasting what other people are doing, they're not really fully implementing, and fundamentally, the people in the company just don't believe that they don't want to be the reverse part. And that takes us to our next step. What can an individual do? How can you, as an individual within an organization, if you're not leadership, be involved in diversity and help your organization be more diverse? In his article, In Diversity, Robin Padrell discusses what individuals can do. The first thing that individuals can do is know the plan and know the goals. By knowing what the company is trying to do with diversity, you can understand that plan and understand those goals while understanding where the company is going. Because if you don't know where the company is going, you can't help align yourself to the goals. The next thing is to actively participate. Simply showing up to diversity events isn't enough. To be an active participant, you have to be involved with the process, engaging diversity efforts, and really trying to improve how much you do with the diversity realm. You have to work to communicate with others, to push them to be more diverse, to pursue them, to work on these ideas within themselves. You have to learn about the diversity, both of the diversity of yourself and of others. Knowing what you're bringing to the table and what backgrounds you have that are different from others. Understanding others is also important. Understanding their cultures, their backgrounds, what they may understand, and what they may be able to try to bring to the table that you can't bring yourself. Understanding that balance and what you're bringing, what they're bringing you to more actively be engaged in the diversity process, and really can help you push your company to be more successful. With that, you can't just learn about it. You also have to be welcoming of others' ideas. You have to be willing to listen to them and understand them. You also have to be willing to admit that you may not have come up with the best solution and that they may have come up with something better. Then the last thing is to never stop learning. Never stop learning more about other people, and never stop learning more about what your company is working on for diversity. Never stop through these processes. This is not something you do for a month and then you've mastered diversity. This is something you're going to continue to do throughout your career and throughout your life, and just continue to learn more about it and moving beyond that. There are some key takeaways from this that we really want to focus on, and the first is just the importance of diversity with all businesses and all organizations, regardless of their size. What their industry is and what they're trying to do for diversity is huge. It increases productivity, increases profitability. You get new creative solutions to problems that you may not have thought of before. Overall is a win-win for every business and every organization. If you have this diversity and you have it working well within your organization is going to be more successful. The other big thing we want to remember is just because you're not a leader in an organization doesn't mean you can't contribute. We just looked at all the different ways that you as an individual can be involved in the diversity process. And you have to be willing to do these things on a daily basis, day in and day out, because that's what's going to help. If you go into an organization and they don't have the best diversity structure and don't have those goals, they don't have a background, that doesn't mean that you can't help to improve the diversity within the organization from the lowest associate in there. You can jump in, you can take these steps, be more diverse within yourself, understand others, and learn from opinions of others. Understand what's going on, and really help build the company from the bottom up. We've taken a look at a lot and want to summarize that we looked at sort of the importance of a diverse workforce, how it increases productivity, increases profit, and increases creative ideas. We defined what diversity is. It's not just race or cultural backgrounds. It really encompasses the whole spectrum of anything that kind of makes us different. This helps build diversity. We looked at what companies can do, having good plans, executing those plans well, making sure their plans are tailored to their own industry. We looked at what individuals can do from learning about diverse people, learning about what diversity means for their business, and just adapting to trying to be more diverse within themselves. And then we took some key takeaways of how we need to remember those benefits and how we as individuals can do that. That is what it means to work with diverse people and what businesses and individuals can do to improve diversity.